Hey, who's that then? Come on, stand where my good eye can see you.
Easy, Tull. That's the source hunter you're talking to.
She may have the look of a woman if you squint hard enough, but she's no more than a wild animal. We got reports of a strange-looking outsider skulking through the town with her bow drawn. I found her crouched behind a tree, taking aim at a fat old rat trotting along the city walls. I tapped her on the shoulder to see what was what, and the beast startled like a wild cat and lunged right at me.
Bit Tullia right in the face, she did. It wasn't pretty, and now it's got a chunk ripped off it to boot.
Enjoy it while you can, Ver. There's not another legionnaire in the cohort that'll have you if I go rabid.
I'd say you ought to take her off our hands if you had the space. Though we couldn't guarantee she'd do more than piddle on the floor and maul your furniture.
Attention! About face!
You don't think it's infected, do you?
Come on now, I pulled her off you before she could do any real damage.
Any real damage? Are you joking? I've been mauled. I'll be disfigured for life.
Again!
Ah, come on with the dramatics. It's not as bad as all that.
The face, Virius! She bit me in the face!
Look on the bright side. Everyone knows the ugly soldiers are the most ferocious.
Ugly will be the least of it. The beast looks rabid.
In that case, you'll have the pleasure of putting her down yourself.
I wish for you to try it, Screech woman.
The beast speaks? So you've half a brain behind that feral maul, have you?
The cretin's question crossed her lips and aped an air of aptitude.
Hey, Tull, I think that was an insult.
Don't pay attention to the beast, Virius.
Sorry, sir.
You'll only encourage it.
You think that's funny, Private?
Sir, no, sir.
You don't think it's infected, do you?
Come on now, I pulled her off you before she could do any real damage.
Any real damage?
You call to Wolgraff. He awaits your queries. With a simple nod, the rogue seems to say, "Shoot!" Wolgraff sighs and pulls parchment parts out of his pockets. He opts for the largest one he can find and sits down, pen in hand.
When I was a kid, friends and I used to play source hunters. Neighbour's dog was the sorcerer. Good fun. One day, we saw strangers in the forest. They looked dodgy. Dark robes, big knives. Friends fled, but I followed them. They took a man into a cave, cut his throat, held him over a blue stone. Blood turned it into ruby. I warned the source hunters in the city, caught the cutthroats. Source hunters called me a hero. Bad guys were hung. I witnessed the hanging. Sorcerer spoke a spell before the trapdoor opened. I was mute, just like that. Always wanted to be a source hunter, but source hunters didn't want no mutiny order. Can't blame them. Too bad though, too bad.
Wolgraff frowns and signals you to hold on for an instant. He begins to write and gives you a scrap of paper.
Not easy being mute. Can't talk and folks think you're slow in the head. No one ever gave me work, though I'm good with my hands. Was poor, got hungry, got thirsty, stole stuff. Then got greedy, became a cat burglar. Told you, I'm good with my hands. Would have done honest work with them, given the chance, a long time ago. I ain't bitter about it, though. Like the rogue's life. Freedom. Unless the law gets you. Haven't yet. Too nimble. Too good. Born for adventure.
Pay attention to the beast,
The rogue
Virius.
saw a wizard once in the village up north. Hunter's Edge. Wizard had nifty things. Brooms that sweep by themselves. Big star viewer in the garden.
Attention!
Went into his house by night. Found quill by spellbooks. Kept it. Never needed ink no more. Hands used to be black as chimney sweeps. Clean now. Clean of ink, that is, not of thievery. Man's got to eat after all.
It's not as bad as all that.
Wolgraff gives a curt, disgruntled nod, and with a gesture that suggests the drinking out of a mug of ale, he seems to indicate he'll be at the King Crab Inn should you change your mind.
Most of it. The beast. Careful, source hunter. If I keep my eyes off this cage, the beast's liable to risk an escape.
Well, that's to be decided. She doesn't seem to be...
After all,
A fearless hunter might prove quite useful for our investigation.
Well, that's a relief, ain't it? We found a good home for her after all, Tull.
Heed me, Source Hunter. She's not good for anything more than cannon fodder. And don't turn your back on her when she's got that bow within arm's reach.
You say you will take me under your wing, but I see no feathers. Are you a child of the birds, as I am of the bears? In truth, this is a relief. Your world is made with rules I have not yet memorized. I am happy to have a friend in such a place. And so the lonely babe was fed upon the wild mother's milk, and cast aside from humankind, he thrived among his mother's ilk. So says the saga of Threes. Do you know it? The wise godwolf Amira raised the child Threes among her litter. So you see, I have good company. Threes the wolfson, and I the bear daughter. Ask freely, my friend. Your city is far more wild than Home Forest. In Home Forest, the rules are clear. In Home Forest, your strength and speed determine your fate. Here, a tiny screech woman, no swifter than a mudworm, might confine you into a tiny cage, and one must wait for a kind stranger to grant freedom. Jarrett, wise Jarrett, taught me the bird songs of our people. If not for him, I would never have learned more than the beasts could teach me. A beast's life is to survive. A human's is to know. I am both beast and human, and so I must do both. I have learned all the bird song that Jarrett could teach. I remembered every word. These tales have brought me much pleasure. The remembering of the beasts is without lies. We know not to approach the wasp's nest because long ago one bear mother discovered its dangers. This she taught to her cubs, and those cubs taught the next. We do not remember Rito and the battle of the buzzing brutes. We remember only what is useful to us now. Rito will be forgotten. The beauty of the story will be forgotten. But the lesson will not. It is different between beasts and humans. I am lucky to enjoy both ways. He came to me when I was small. A fierce, wild one, yet unaware of the difference between the other cubs and herself. He called to me in a soft song. At first I thought him a great bird. We each reached out to the other. We found each other. Jarrett visited me often, and in time I learned his songs and more. When he built a small cabin within Home Forest, I hunted his food and fetched his water by day while he studied his books and his magics. By night, by the fire, he'd tell me tales of the world of people. Jarrett is my master and my friend, my teacher and myself. He teaches me and I care for him. I heard this was a place of many people, so here I came. I have seen more faces here in a day than I had seen in all the days of my life together. But I have not found the face I seek. Jarrett is missing. It is my duty to find him. That mystery is thick and ugly as a swarm of hornets. It started with a great disturbance in Home Forest. A terrible disease came in the night and turned the birds and beasts soft and foul as carrion while they still lived. I watched countless of my loved ones die, rotted from the inside. When I ran to Jarrett to tell him what I had seen, his reaction was strange. He had no answer. The next morning, Jarrett did not emerge from his room. I left him be, but after 3 days I grew anxious. I broke down the door, and inside his chamber was nothing. His equipment, his books, all but some scraps of parchment were gone. He was kidnapped, and all his research was taken with him. The only clue I found was a letter among the scraps. I could not make out all the words, but I recognized the threat. Death, coming for you. And the signature? Attenborough. I do not know the one called Attenborough, but I know that if I am to find Jarrett, I must start there. Whoever this Attenborough may be, I believe he or she may know where Jarrett has been taken.
Sorry, sir.
You think think that's funny, Private?
Sir, no, sir.
Those boots that embarrass a bridge troll get to shining recruits.
Sorry, sir.
You think that's funny, Private?
Sir, no, sir.
Attention! About this!
Source Hunter. I have heard tales both grand and terrible about the world of humans. I myself was caged one moment and freed the next by our kind. In Home Forest, every creature acts according to the nature of its kind. Birds frighten easily, badgers fear little. But amongst men, there are no guarantees.
Shining recruits.
Sorry, sir.
You think that's funny, Private?
Sir, no, sir.
Attention!
It is strange to stand with one foot in the forest and the other in the city, Source Hunter. I am glad that now I have you standing beside me. Even if one burns hot while the other wheezes cold. Perhaps in time I will come to know my own kind as you have. And perhaps then I will decide for myself whether ours is a noble kind.
Those boots that embarrass a bridge troll get to shining recruits.
Sorry, sir.
Attention! About this! To the barracks! Notch! Recruits! That was sloppier than Cysealian stew. Again! Attention! About this! To the barracks! Notch! Recruits! That was sloppier than Cysealian stew. Again! Those boots that embarrass a bridge troll get to shining recruits.
Sorry, sir.
You think that's funny, Private?
Sir, no, sir.
Attention! About this! To the barracks! Notch! Recruits! That was sloppier than Cysealian stew. Again! Those boots that embarrass a bridge troll get to shining recruits.
Sorry, sir.
You think that's funny, Private?
Sir, no, sir.
Attention! About this! To the barracks! Notch! Recruits! That was sloppier than Cysealian stew. Again! Attention! About this! To the barracks! Notch! Recruits! That was sloppier than Cysealian stew. Again! Attention! About this! Better to evacuate this place while there's still some left to save, I say. Go while the going's good. Those boats that embarrass a bridge troll get to shining recruits.
Sorry, sir.
Just funny, Private.
Sir, no, sir. What's the steam? Excellent. Let's keep it that way.
Have some pity. 1 coin or 2, noble spirit? 1 coin or 2? Oh, I am a happy man, and certainly a humble one now. It turns out losing it all has its own share of benefits. Ah, a fool once was I, and ever seeking greater satisfaction than that which I already enjoyed. In my folly, I sought the counsel of those notorious Watcher statues on the western cliffs. Their guidance ruined any small fortune I might have had, but certainly granted me humility. I'd heard they were not to be trusted, that they gave fools' advice to the fools who sought them, but somehow I believed that I was the exception. They told me that I would find fame and renown if I renounced my worldly possessions, all my worldly possessions, and became a great figure of piety and humility. Fire, the most thorough cleanser, was my method. But as my house burned in front of me, I felt no elevation, no piety, only the sudden weight of my own idiocy upon my very soul. May the soul of Astarte smile upon you, kind stranger. Thank you, kind one.
So those statues told him he'd have to renounce his earthly possessions to become a spiritual leader, did they? Indeed. He said himself that he's finally learned humility. Maybe he made the right choice, really.
Have some pity.
Attention! About face! To the barracks! Not!
Quiet! No talking to these scoundrels, criminal scum!
I'll thank you to take a step in another direction. This is the Legion treasure room, and you've no business bothering with it. Your not-so-sterling reputation happens to precede you.
I hope your quest fares well, dear hunter. But certainly. What would you like to know? Oh, I am but a wizard, a guardian of man and beast, and indeed I am both. My body, like any other, is bound to temporal decay. But my spirit is a speck of light that shone forth from the eternal sun that is the cosmic soul. My task upon this earth is to protect the heart of nature, the very antithesis of which is the intrigue spun by demons and directors of the dead. Hence my involvement in Cyseal. You see, my one desire is to witness a world in which every mother looks around her and purrs with calm contentment. For she knows that her chicks or children, her cubs or calves, will grow up without knowing the meaning of menace, the enfeeblement of fear. To my great regret, none of them purr as yet. Oh, that'll never happen. Granted, a witch could make the polymorph permanent if she'd enchant me in my cat guise, but I'll just have to be careful around witches, won't I? I'm my own wizard, you know, and I don't intend to become anyone's familiar. Oh, but that's not a trick. Such magic is a gift, Hunter. To be out and... But of course it's handy to speak in more than meows. And I couldn't brew potions or make machines without opposable thumbs, this I freely admit. Let's just say I have found a way to enjoy the best of two worlds. What? I'd never. If you must know, I was merely checking up on Maxine, the mayor's cat. What a delight she is. The temperament of a tiger, the grace of a leopard, and the manners of a lady all rolled into one. A perfect puss, if ever there was one. By all means. Of course. I hope your investigation fares well. I can but piece together what few morsels fell from the grapevine into a rather disappointing meal, I'm afraid. They say a woman arrived in the King Crab Inn sometime after midnight. She retired to a room on the ground floor where she was soon joined by a man who had been nursing the same cup of wine for hours. I say man and woman because both of them were cloaked and recognized by none. About an hour later, another figure arrived, headed for the same room. Soon after, a terrible commotion erupted and the thundering light of magic was witnessed by the few remaining patrons. It took a while for the landlord to pluck up the courage to enter the mystery room. When finally he did, he found Jake there, dead. How and why he came to be there, no one knows. But I had a good look around the scene of the crime before the Legion barred anyone from entering. The traces of magic I felt were vile. Source, no doubt. I myself have none, even though the rest of the town has already mentally tried and convicted Jake's wife, Esmeralda. Now, it may well be established that she is in fact the guilty party. I'm not claiming that I'm certain she's innocent, but let's just say that if I really thought this murder case would be so very easily resolved, I wouldn't have sent for source hunters. His body is gone, replaced with that of a sheep. This is all very disconcerting, to say the least. Grave robbery reeks of necromancy. Could Jake have been involved with those that raise the dead? It seems too improbable to be true, but nevertheless. You're onto something, Hunter. Do follow the scent and see where it leads you. I can't say much more, but that they're madmen. All the more dangerous to us because of their alliance with what should be a natural enemy. You won't see me teaming up with a terrier in a hurry. And what might those be? One of them failed? Who is the mongrel that dares to question my engineering expertise? I take it the mutt in question was referring to the Sparkmaster 5000. It isn't failing, it just became... well, it became self-aware. Frightfully annoying when that happens. You know what? Here's the remote access device with which I used to control it. There's a manual for that somewhere around here, too. Yours, if you can find it. I really should invite Victoria one of these days, so she can help me organize my mess of a library. Those who are raising the dead dwell among us. They simply must be. But even though I've spent many a night leaping from tree to rooftop, watching on as citizens stagger home from the inn or simply burn the midnight oil. I haven't spied a single soul worthy of true suspicion. The enemy is wily. They know us better than we know them, and they've found ways to avoid both detection and distrust. Yet I am somehow convinced that you may succeed where the Legion and I have failed. Call it instinct. You have a flair for understatements, Hunter. I'm sure they are but a minor nuisance in the eyes of a born warrior. But to the Legion, they are green-skinned death incarnate. Until they conclude what mischief they intend to see through, or, less likely, they are conclusively defeated, we can but bar the gates and hole up like mice while the cats are on the prowl. Oh, a mere trifle for one with the intellect of a feline and the engineering skills of a human. You basically construct a classic ballista, add a 100% legally obtained self-regenerating source of destructive magic to it, and Bobcat's your uncle.
Lucky find!
How can I help you, my friend? Source Hunter, welcome, welcome.
we hear, then? The so-called source hunter, eh? Well, look, do what you must in Cyseal, but don't make waves and don't interfere with the Legion's affairs, you hear? I'm Captain Aureus, if you must know, leader of the Legion in Cyseal, by which I mean I have the enviable task of commanding a battalion of walking dead. For I fear it may well be but a matter of time before the undead undo all my soldiers and turn them into driveling hordes of their own misshapen number. Gods above! Some politician snuffs it and everyone's in an uproar. Ridiculous! I told that wizard brat of an Ahu not to bother, but he just had to send for source hunters, didn't he? Bloody magicians. They see a pigeon poop and think sorcery's afoot. Nevertheless, I want to be kept in the loop. Understand? I am in command of this town, not Mayor Cecil, not Ahu, and definitely not some hotshot source hunter. So investigate Jake's death if you feel so inclined, but report back to me the moment you discover something out of the ordinary. The scene of the crime is over at the King Crab Inn. You can tell the guard you have my permission to enter. Now off with you! Esmeralda is Jake's wife. Well, widow. Everyone in town, down to the crabs on the beach, is convinced she killed him. Now, the girl has the reputation of being a flirt. There is that. But that doesn't suffice as evidence, wouldn't you say? Or do source hunters rely on hearsay alone, perhaps? That certainly would explain some of the cock-ups you lot have made in the past. What? You're going to stand there and claim with a straight face your order never wrongly tortured and executed anyone? Hardly. But I won't stand for such nonsense. If you bring evidence before me, I'll evaluate it with perfect objectivity. The Legion relies on reason, see? Not idle superstition. So, you found a blooded knife in Esmeralda's cellar. Guess you can scratch the top candidate off your list of cliched clues, then. Not exactly enough to arrest her for, is it? How to plan the perfect murder. Really? Really? She might as well wear a dress with the words "I killed Jake and I liked it" embroidered on it. But that alone wouldn't suffice to convince me. So convince me, Hunter, and keep looking. I see. You've come to report a dead sheep. A heap of mutton that sailed into view upon your robbing the grave of a councillor. Lovely. Well, don't just stand there gawking like guppies. Hire yourself to Roberts, the mortician. If anyone buried a sheep, obviously it was him. If you must. Bravo! Figured that one out, did you? I haven't been stuck here for 2 years because we're being besieged by fluffy kittens, you know. Those brain-feasting freaks out there keep on coming. And it takes all the sword arms and all of Ahu's half-baked contraptions to keep them at bay. Keeping them at bay, that is all we do. Were that I could break their backs once and for all. How am I enjoying it? Are you spoiling for a fight, Hunter? Are you? Cyseal stinks of fish, reeks of orcs, and on a good day the wind disperses the stench of decomposing corpses. I can't remember the last time I had a proper piece of steak, and by now I retch at the mere sight of sardines. So in conclusion, I am not enjoying Cyseal. We are the pride of Rivellon, to be found and to be seen everywhere. We don't hide in the dark and lurk in corners like some I could mention. No, we protect the civilized from the barbaric, and we do so impeccably. I'd say they're looking for weak spots in our defenses. They can't make an attack over land for fear of Ahu's magical machines, so they're trying their luck by sea. They won't succeed, though. Not against the Legion. Yes, and he also spends most of his time in the guise of a cat, licking God's knows which body parts. Sects, sorcerers. He'll be seeing flying carpets next. Ah, the Source Hunter. Oh, joyous hour. I'm Captain Olive.
Sorry, sir.
Attention! About base! To the barracks! Not! Recruits! That was sloppier than Cyseal stew! Again! Attention! About base! To the barracks! Not! Recruits! That was sloppier than Cyseal stew! Again!
Have some pity.
Performers, showmen, show all of them. Cyseal, what you're made of. My dear Fletcher. And who are you supposed to be? Oh, I should have been one of the greats. But here I am gathering peasants to watch peasants perform broadside pageants for peanuts. No, really? I hadn't noticed. If not for this ridiculous condition, you'd know me as the king's favorite thespian. Don't you have an impressive library here in Cyseal? I'm sure that beast of a librarian could rustle something up for you. Take it up with Katerina. She's the master of this pig circus after all. Come on! You there! Sit!
it! Stay a while. Right in front. I'll excite you. I'll delight you. I'll beguile you. I'll besmile you. I'm Cedric the Sensational, and I'm playing to an empty audience. Don't pity me. No, sir. Just a few years ago, I was the all-singing, all-dancing, all-sensational darling of the town. People came from far and wide just to witness my amazing act. When Reginald came, he brought some fantastic prop with him. Now, have you seen it? A talking head. Now, I never expected a silly gimmick like that to be my main competition. It seems even my usually choosy audience has been taken in by that hack's little gizmo. I'm a man of skill, sleight of hand, feats of wit, and pure entertainment. This curio is ruining what used to be an art. And even when there's no crowd to speak of, old Reggie still has at least one fan calling bravo and hee-haw. Sure as the sun sets, that one devotee attracts 5 more, and those 5 more all curious about the commotion. I don't know how he inspires such loyalty with less talent contained between his hat and his boots than I've in my crusty handkerchief.
Come on! Come all! Can't you hear the stage calling you?
Zombie ate your dog? Orc sunk your ship? No matter! You're at Katerina's Fair, a veritable summer home for troubled minds. Won't you take a seat and let our esteemed entertainers whisk you off to a better place? Well, I'm Katerina the Fair, fairest first lady of the fair, of course. I do love making the acquaintance of my patrons, and who knows which of them might become one of my performers. I've an open stage in want of talent, and I've often found the best young performers among the rank and file of the audience. The theatre's favor has overcome you, has it? Marvelous! I do so love a fresh green talent ready to bloom. But I support players, not writers, you see. If you want to perform here, you'll have to find tried and true material. Check the library and see if any of the classics there interest you. I'd love to see a Source Hunters take on one of the old standards. Right away, my dear, just as fast as your boots can carry you. You've found something decent to perform, I trust, and you've gathered enough actors to do it justice? Speak to Master Chaucer if you're ready for your debut. He alone can adequately prepare you for the stage.
The stage calling you. What is it this time? Oh, I should have been one of the greats, but here I am. No, really? Katerina's given the go-ahead, has she? Oh, very well then. Tell me when you're ready to begin, and I'll show you to your places and gather you whatever crowd of drunken yokels can be prevailed upon to watch you flail about on stage. Ready for your trial by fire, you mean? There's no more savage foe than an audience, my dear. But I'm sure you'll do just fine. May the show begin! Not planning on playing to an empty audience, are you? Wait until I've gathered some victims to witness the spectacle, and then you can begin. Any last words?
You hear distant mutterings of curiosity as a small crowd shuffles toward your stage. A few moments longer, and everyone will be seated. Now, let's not be hasty. They may be dragging their feet, but your show is sure to knock the crowd's socks off. As soon as they settle into their seats, that is. The stage is yours.
If I wanted to wait around doing nothing, I'd get a job at court.
Fantastic!
The crowd breaks into an approving chuckle. Continue, by all means.
Oh, I hope there's an encore.
Eager to hear more, the crowd leans forward with great interest. One lady in the back is already chuckling. She must have heard this one before.
Fantastic!
Fantastic!
The crowd's curiosity is piqued. Oh, do go on before they explode.
Fantastic!
Oh, I hope there's an encore.
Good show!
Fantastic!
That's it, Source Hunter. You've got this joyful crowd right where you want them. Now, take them on home.
By the seven, what a tale! Bravo!
They like you. They really, really like you. Well done, Source Hunter.
Performers, showmen, show all of them. Cyseal, what you're made of.
I haven't seen a show like that in years. I'm all a quiver.
Bravo! Yeehaw!
The great Sigurd and his rainbow of war machines.
What are you looking at me for? There's a great show going on right in front of you. And look, there stands the world-famous Reginald the Entertainer. Better check it out if you don't want to miss the time of your life. Oh, I'm nothing but your average man taking in the best show I've ever seen. I'm amazed and astounded that for a meager gold coin or two, I can take in this first-rate entertainment all day long. Well, I've stumbled into quite the fine gig. I just let my appreciation for Reggie's work be known, and he slips me a few gold coins in return. My voice happens to carry pretty far. Cyseal hears me. Cyseal wants to see what the fuss is all about. And let me tell you, this amazing show just can't be beat. Well, drawing a crowd's what I do best, and I'd be glad to do it for your little show. 100 gold up front, and yours will be the hottest ticket in Cyseal. You're lost, buddy. You know where to find me if you change your mind about your sad little crowd, though.
Thirst for colour. So ardently did he crave creamy blues and gory reds that he ordered a contest.
You there! Take a seat. Prepare to laugh your head off, cry your eyes out, and teeter on the edge of your seat with an original tale from Stefan, the talking severed head. I am Reginald the Illusionist, purveyor of the most amazing artifact in Andevale. This fantastical talking head. Catch the act while you can. This show will only remain in Cyseal as long as there are Legion soldiers to entertain. Ha! Yes, I know of that talentless bull. He was here entertaining the troops before I was brought in. I'm sure the hack simply bored his audience to tears until they cried for a replacement. Enter Reginald the Illusionist. We need our boys in red happy, relaxed, and ready to fight. not wasting their energies cringing at a fool with a depressed rabbit in a borrowed hat. Are you impressed by my prowess in the arts of entertainment? Nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd. And that crowd warmer has increased my profits by 60%, simply by showing a little honest appreciation for our show. Why do I care what tall tales you've heard about Stefan's origins? Try to do something about it if you dare. The fair's full of legionnaires who love no better entertainment than cutting down a source hunter for stirring up trouble.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Oh, excuse me, I'm trying to prepare for the next show. Autographs will have to wait until the end. I doubt I have to tell you that I am the amazing singing Stefan, the only sentient severed head in Cyseal. My audience sings my praises from hill and dale. Psst, you're a source hunter, aren't you? Oh, bless the seven. You've got to help me. I've been kidnapped. Pleasure to meet you. Now, please, Stefan has many fans to meet today. Psst, help me. Take me to Reginald's cellar. There I will reveal everything.
Fantastic!
It won't be the worst indignation I've suffered. Get on with it then.
Hey, stop that!
My word!
What are you looking at me for? There's a great well, drawing a crowd's what I do best. 98, 99, 100. Looks like all's in order, Chief. So, ready for a bigger crowd than you can shake a stick at? Stand back and watch this.
Ha!
Today,
My
I
word!
think a king, the great Sigurd and his rainbow of war machines. It is said, and this I have heard from a ghost who knew Elba, who knew Elliot, who is said to have known Sigurd himself, that the king had a great...
What are you looking at me for? There's a great show going...
Creamy blues and gory reds, that he ordered a contest across his realm.
You there? You look like an actor just waiting for his big debut.
Ah, a familiar face. Come, watch the show. I promise it'll take your mind off beheading baddies, or whatever it is you do with all those muscles. I, a person whose sole job is to praise the performance and stir a crowd. A genius invention. No wonder Reginald has had such success. I knew his act couldn't have outshone mine on its merits alone. Please, you must hire him for me. Imagine the scowl on that conman's face when my rightful audience returns to me. A must-see event. Come on! Come all! Can't you hear the stage calling you?
My what are you looking at me for? There's a great show going on right in front... Well, I don't see why I should. Reginald and I have grown rather friendly, you know? And in any case, it'll be hard to pull myself away from this fantastic show.
Fantastic!
Fantastic!
Today, I think, a king, the great Sigurd and his rainbow of war machines. It is said, and this I have heard from a ghost who knew Elba, who knew Elliot, who is said to have known Sigurd himself, that the king had a great thirst for colour. So ardently did he crave creamy blues and gory reds that he ordered...
Now, no need to get bushy. I'll go give Cedric the old Gallagher treatment if you'll lay off.
Ever been serenaded by a severed head? Step right up!
Performers, showmen, show all of Cyseal what you're made of.
Ah, a familiar face.
You there? You look look like an actor just waiting for his big debut.